Rain poured outside as the house was dimly lit by the soft glow of a computer screen and a few scattered candles. It was a typical night for Gabriel, Luisa, Marcelo, and Jonas, for longtime friends who often gathered to play games and discuss urban legends. This time, however, Gabriel had brought something different. He had found a game on a shady, deep website. It was called The Final Choice, and according to its description, it was a game of wishes. The rules were simple. Each player had to type their wish into the site and click confirm. Then, a black virtual box would appear on the screen, as if storing the requests. Only those who accept the consequences should play. Read a sentence in red letters on the screen. Between laughter and dares, the four decided to try it. Marcelo went first. He wished for money, a lot of money. Luisa, ever the romantic, wished for eternal love. Jonas, the most ambitious of the group, desired absolute success in his career. Gabriel was the last. He hesitated for a moment before typing his request, keeping it to himself. When he clicked confirm, a high-pitched noise rang out, and the screen flickered violently. The candles nearly went out, and for a brief moment, it seemed like a shadow moved in the corner of the room. The four huddled together, startled, then laughed it off. "It's probably just a programmed jump scare," Jonas said, shutting the laptop, but something felt off. The next morning, Marcelo received a phone call. A distant relative he barely knew had passed away. Just hours later, a lawyer called to inform him that he was the sole heir to a massive fortune. Marcelo was in shock. "This can't be a coincidence," he muttered. Luisa soon realized something was wrong, too. Her boyfriend, who had always been affectionate, suddenly became disturbingly obsessed. He called her nonstop, showed up at her house unannounced, and grew possessive, refusing to let her go anywhere alone. On the third day, she found messages written in blood on her bedroom wall. "You are mine, forever." Jonas, on the other hand, watched his life turn into a nightmare. His wish for success had come true, but in the worst way possible. His name was all over the news, accused of a crime he never committed. Fake photos and manipulated videos spread across the internet. He tried to explain, but no one believed him. His career was over. Gabriel never revealed what he had wished for. He distanced himself from the group and eventually disappeared without a trace. Marcelo, Luisa, and Jonas decided to look for him at his house. The door was unlocked, the TV still on. In his bedroom, they found only a message scrawled across the wall in jagged, barely legible letters. "You played. Now it's his turn." But that wasn't all. On Gabriel's computer, the game was still open. The screen now displayed something new, a list of all four players' names. Next to Gabriel's name, the word completed. The cursor moved on its own, hovering over Luisa's name. The screen flickered, and the computer emitted an ear-splitting noise. The lights in the room flickered wildly, and for a brief moment, they all felt something in the room with them. Then Luisa screamed. The computer screen distorted, and from the digital darkness, a twisted, elongated hand emerged, grabbing Luisa by the wrist. Marcelo and Jonas tried to pull her away, but an unseen force held them back. Her scream echoed through the room as she was violently pulled into the screen, vanishing completely. The monitor returned to normal. Only one sentence blinked on the screen. "The game never ends." Marcelo and Jonas barely had time to react. The lights flickered, the air grew heavy, and a distorted sound filled the room. The countdown on the screen hit 0:01. When it reached 0, everything went black. Marcelo gasped awake, heart pounding, breath heavy. He looked around and saw Luisa, Jonas, and Gabriel sitting on the floor, just as before. The candles burned slowly. "Man, I just had the weirdest nightmare," Jonas muttered, rubbing his face. Luisa nodded, visibly shaken. "Me too. It was about that game." They decided to stop playing and go out for pizza instead. They blew out the candles, shut down the computer, and as they left, Marcelo cast one last glance at the black screen. For a brief second, he swore he saw his own reflection blink back at him, but he ignored it and walked away as if nothing had happened. Luan had always dreamed of testing cutting-edge technology. So when he received an exclusive email inviting him to test a revolutionary, ultra-realistic virtual reality game, he accepted without hesitation. At the lab, the developers explained that the technology used an advanced neural system to create total immersion. The game, called Eternal, promised graphics indistinguishable from reality and an experience like no other. When Juan put on the VR headset, the screen went black. A distant whispering sound filled his mind, and in an instant, he woke up inside the game. The setting was an abandoned city, shrouded in thick fog. The objective was simple: find the exit, but something felt off. Within minutes, he stumbled and fell, scraping his arm. The pain was real. When he looked down, he saw blood trickling from a wound. But it was just a game, right? He tried to remove the VR headset. Nothing happened. A message appeared. Please wait. You have not completed the test. Panic started creeping in. He ran through the city, calling for help. But all he found were shadowy figures lurking in the distance, watching him. Time seemed frozen. He felt hunger, thirst, exhaustion. Every wound hurt as if it were real. Then, the first creature appeared. A grotesque being with elongated limbs and a stitched-up mouth approached slowly. Juan tried to run, but his movements felt sluggish. A second monster emerged from nowhere, slashing his shoulder with razor-sharp claws. The pain was unbearable. He screamed. A new message popped up: pain activated for enhanced realism. Bleeding, he managed to escape and ran until he found an old phone booth. He grabbed a receiver and frantically dialed any number, but before he could speak, a voice answered. There is no escape, Juan. The game must go on. That's when he saw something reflected in the booth's glass. Someone else was wearing a VR headset, identical to his own, but they weren't inside the game. They were outside. The other Juan smirked and disconnected the session. Juan jolted awake in the testing room, gasping for air. You passed out during the session, one of the developers said. Did you feel anything unusual? He blinked, trying to process everything. Was he really back? Had it all been just a simulation? As he stood up, a sharp pain shot through his shoulder. He pulled up his sleeve and froze. The claw marks were still there. The developer smiled and typed something into computer. Excellent. Looks like the synchronization was a success. Behind him, the door locked with a click, and on the computer screen, a final message flashed. Loading next level